Hello, I'm CJ Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm across the Red River from beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. Come check us out. I have decided to create a very special episode of the Impetuous Chef. That's my cooking segments that I do. This is a pork Boston butt cut from a shoulder. And what is, and use a lot of pepper, by the way, because the pepper comes off. Just kind of rub it around. What makes this special is I called in reinforcements. I called my sister and I got some tips on what she does. Now, she makes a Boston butt, and I've seen her do it on the stove, a picnic camera, whatever, and I've seen her do it. And I just turned this on, so it's just starting to get a little heat, but that's not so hot that I can't pick it up. Okay, let me pause. I need to wash my hand before I reach over and grab my pepper shaker or anything. I need to make sure my hands are constantly sanitary at every step when handling raw meat, but especially pork. Okay, be right back. And you may hear my coffee pot going in the background. We are having our first, it's not our first winter this year, but because we've had cold rain before, but they're making it like in the weather, like, because it's coming across an area that's giving a lot of snow, and that's coming a lot pretty close to us. We've just had rain throughout the day, but it's stopped now. But tomorrow we're going to get what the upper part of the country has gotten. We're going to get the kiss of that snow, that weather system that you've gotten, and potential for sleet or some freezing rain, maybe lightish snow, but not very likely. In a situation like this, I've heard it go really turn into nothing, or it's flipped and it's been like, oh my God, we've gotten like some gusts, and all of a sudden it's winter wonderland outside for about a week. So we don't know. And we haven't heard anything. We haven't heard anything that's super alarming, other than, hey, be packed and prepared. So yeah, whatever. Um, my hunch is it's not going to be that bad. But I've got this, and this is the Gotham Steel pan. In red. I also have. Hang on. I have the entire 20-piece Gotham Steel set, including the extra bakeware that came with it. But I haven't even used that yet because I'm still using the red. And I bought it so that when I had people over, I would have enough. I would have enough pots and pans, because it's great to have stuff to do for your home, but if you ever have a party, you don't want to be stuck scrambling. Hey, by the way, could you bring extra pots and pans, or do I need to go out and buy, extra stuff for the occasion or whatever? And so it's like, when I saw them advertising on the TV, the Gotham Steel and the copper, I was like, I like the red trim. Let me go ahead and just get a set for myself. And then about a week later, surprise to my sister, happy birthday, which her birthday is tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, her birthday is the 23rd. I just totally like, oh my God, if you know her, don't use her birthday to scam on her. I'll come get you if you do. Anyway, she's got a birthday coming up, and her birthday also is a set of Gotham Steel, because I don't know if she's a big fan of this cookware in the same way that I am, but she has a set of the stackable cookware that she's been using for about 4 or 5 years, and it's like, it's, we can replace it now. So, and cookware is always a good gift if you have like if you a thing where someone registers or something like that, a bridal kind of thing or whatever. You definitely want to check with the registry. You don't want every gift, say for a wedding couple, you don't want every gift to be cookware, but a couple of sets wouldn't hurt, Anyway, but birthdays, Christmas. It's always, you can never find, if you can find a good set. I would never recommend the dollar store garbage. You know, that, they're talking about that $10 or $20 set that you get out of Dollar General or something. That is a very thin, most likely a very thin Teflon coating that will disintegrate very quickly. And what I've learned is that Teflon is toxic uh, when it breaks down, uh, and that's why I was very careful with this stuff, this Gotham Steel, because I used to think when I first got it, I think for about 4 years, I was thinking that it's Teflon coating, and they said ceramic coating when I saw them advertising the set that I bought. And so I went back and I looked, and it's like, no, Gotham Steel is Teflon. It's not Teflon coated. It's ceramic, and it is different. It can take a higher heat, and treated well will last very well. And I will say it does scrape easily. Any kind of coated non-stick pan scrapes easily. Um, so you always really just want to be careful to use like the most important, the most tender, don't use like, metal edges that scrape and stuff like that, use uh, Rubbermaid spatulas and stuff like, you know, yeah, use stuff that's safe. Use utensils that are safe, wooden or anything like that. Softer utensils that are not going to scrape up. Metal will end up scraping, and so. But when I ordered these, I ordered them, and I was told they came with a lifetime guarantee. And of course, they arrived, and the lifetime guarantee had been downgraded to a 10-year guarantee, not a lifetime guarantee. What's a guy to do, right? Uh, but even the 10-year guarantee, it's like, we don't guarantee against this, this, and this, and this. And it disqualifies everything that you would potentially want to do. Anything that you could potentially say, hey, we're not, that it instantly disqualifies. So it's basically a useless 10-year guarantee. It's good cookware. The warranty that comes with it is you're not going to be able to utilize it at all. Okay, it's about time to give this a turn. Look, the top of this is very cold still. I'm going to be able to grab it. Non-stick, huh? But grab it, give it a turn. Let me put the phone down and do this. Okay. And so, I can cook. Just let you know, I can cook. But when I was a little boy, my mother went to work. My parents separated for a while. They were kind of parents that were on again and off again. So for a few years, they were separated. And I had just turned 9 years old and still in elementary school. And my sister had just entered her junior high school. It was still junior high. And then by the time I got to that level, it had been converted and it was no longer junior high. They called it middle school, but she was still in junior high. And it kind of fell to her to do the caretaking while mom was at work during the day. And so my sister learned to cook. And she learned to cook by calling my grandmother, my dad's mother, who every time we saw her, she was in the kitchen cooking. That woman was never not cooking in the kitchen. Every time we went to visit her, there was a kitchen with a dining extension, like it was a big dining room and kitchen all in one area of the house. It took up like, it was a 2-bedroom house and a bathroom, 2 bedrooms and bathroom in the back, and then outside there was an add-on, a little washing area, but then with the washing machine and a dryer. But that was a small little, that was it. But the main part of the house was split into, there was a living room that people could sit around in it. And then the other half of the house, which basically was even a little bit bigger, was the kitchen and the dining room area. So it was the kitchen, the dining room area, two bedrooms, and one bathroom. And those bedrooms were smaller. So, I mean, it wasn't, it was a relatively small house, but this was a woman who had many children and many, many grandchildren. And she was, anytime we were over there, I have no memory of her sitting in the living room. Sometimes my grandfather would be sitting in the living room. Most of the time, he was out on the porch swing because she wouldn't allow alcohol in the home. She just wouldn't. People would come around and they'd have their little beer or whatever, and they would sneak him beer, and he'd sneak around the corner and he would drink beer. And of course, that's when she'd step in and she'd be like, no, and she'd handle up on that. And my old school grandmother, she didn't mind going upside his head. I told you, don't you drink. It was that. It was very Andy Cap, the comic book. With the woman chasing the man from the pub with the rolling pin in her hand. That it was kind of that in essence summed up what my grandparents were like. But she was always in the kitchen. I never saw her sit in the living room. Um, Nothing. No, I only ever saw her at the dining room table. And she woke up and she'd start making breakfast. And then we sat around and we visited between meals. And where did we sit? We sat around the dining room table. That was a very special dining room table. But my sister would call there and she would learn how to cook. And then my sister, as the years went on and we went into adulthood and everything, my sister could make this pork, Boston pork butt roast. I've seen her do this several times, and she does it in a way that I never could. That I never could. Uh, and so I just called her and got some tips on what to do. And she said, of course, brown it first. I don't always brown the roast. But yeah, she suggested that I brown it, season it well. I'm not including salt because she did suggest that I could use a little bit of bouillon for flavor. So I'm going to use some chicken bouillon powder dissolved in water once the browning is done. And that's going to be what I'm going to braise this in. Now, my sister, we're very, it's like you call, you get directions, and it's like, we aren't really, hey, we're not really using recipes here and there or anything like that, but we'll give you some tips or whatever. She did suggest some vegetables, and I'm thinking to myself, do I have any? Yes, I do. I have some chopped vegetables. She recommended onions, maybe carrots or potatoes. I'm on a keto diet, so I'm going to skip adding the potatoes and carrots. But I am going to add in the chopped mirepoix that I have. I'm going to finish that off, I think. Let me get that out of the freezer. This stuff is magic, and this is just the last of it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this off. I love this stuff. If you can find this, it's great. It's every sort of bell pepper, onion. It's what you would think of as your Cajun Trinity. Some people call it a Holy Trinity, whatever. There's a variation. There's two variations. One would be celery, carrots, and bell pepper, and the other would be celery, onion, and bell pepper. And that's the one that we mostly get associated with in South Louisiana, the celery, onion, and bell pepper. This has that, and then it has a lot more also in here. There's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, or whatever. But if you need a chopped vegetable blend, I'm going to pull it out and show you the label. Find them anywhere. You can get this at a Walmart or something like that. But this is a I got it from Foodway. And so it just says seasoning blend. And it's, there you go. But you're going to find this with different labels from different distributors and stuff like that. And you'll even find different variations. This one, that I got from the local Foodway, that's the Louisiana meat store, has a wonderful proportion. Sometimes they're a little onion heavy and there's not enough bell pepper, and you wish that you had more bell pepper in it, more celery, because it's basically mostly just chopped vegetables and they kind of skimp the chopped onions and they've skimped on the rest of it. But let me show you what's in here. Uh, aha. Onions, celery, peppers. That's basically it. So some of them have a little extra parsley or garlic in it or whatever. I've seen that also. That's why I mentioned that. But I'm going to add those things anyway. Okay, hang on. It's time for me to turn this roast to a different side. Now I did find that it's helpful to grab a fork to stab into it and help me kind of turn it without using the fork on the surface of the pan itself. This pan will. I know they show you on the TV. Hey, you could stick a blender in here and blend this with an electric mixer and high, and it's not going to tear it up. And you can scrape it with the fork, and it's not going to mess it up. Yes, it will. The Gotham Steel's guilty of a little false advertising. It's still great cookware though, but it's ceramic. It will scrape. It will come off. Hey, we got a really good marbling mailer going on here. It's great. What I'll do is add a little bit of pepper to each side, just to make sure that we get good coverage on that pepper. The reason why is that's what I recall from my sisters. I maybe have over peppered it. I don't know. I think as soon as I put in the moisture, I think this pepper is going to lift away from the roast. Yeah. Let me get in here and add a little pepper to the top here. Let this sit for just a minute or so, and then flip it over and do the same on the other side. With something that has a wide surface like this, go ahead and take the time, if you're going to brown a roast, to brown it on all sides. With a pork roast, if I were going to do this, maybe I would lightly flour it first. You could lightly flour this pork roast. I don't think you'll need to. I did make and I just finished that off. I had it for lunch. I had do you remember I made that big pork? And then as I started slicing into it, I realized it's very delicious and tasty, but it's a little bit tough, and so it's going to make better beef tips. Well, I did some research on that, and it's because of the actual size of the roast, and it had not been tenderized. It was straight from the animal to the packaging. And what would have worked even better is if I had cut it into cubes, a little bit better. If I'd actually cut it into the beef tips and really stewed them down for hours, because it does take a few hours for the sinew, for the collagen that's in the meats and everything like that. It takes several hours for that to break down and turn into a natural gelatine or an aspect or something like that that would make the meats tender. We have to break down those collagens that divide the meat tissue. Because it is for a part of the animal that is tough, because it's a part that gets it's in motion a lot. So I'm definitely going to be doing that again, but I'm going to be giving it a different treatment with a lot more patience. It's not the type of roast I'm going to be able to lay out with the wonderful, beautiful, hey, this is a good roast beef, and this end of it is well done, and towards the center, it's more and more rare. That's not really going to be a feasible thing. So what I'm going to need to do is braise it, and add some wonderful flavors and everything. But it's gonna be something wonderful, and it's gonna turn out delicious. And I'm thinking of doing something quite lovely with that beef roast, as well as pairing it with the pork roast. I'm thinking of doing a roast when I do my dinner on February the 9th. I'm thinking of doing a pork roast, a beef roast, and then some fish. So I'm thinking of having, you know, of course, there will be lots of sausages and meatballs and things like that as part of the charcuterie when I'm coming around. But I'm thinking, as far as the main courses, I can have a beef, pork, and a fish course. I know it's a little overkill, but my friends are special, and I want them to know that I think a lot about them, and I want there to be so much food here that they will have something. And if I'm preparing various different items, if one or two things don't work out, it's no big deal, because definitely there's plenty of backup. That's sort of my secret to a successful dinner. Make everything, throw it on the wall, and see what sticks. Not literally, only if you're making pasta. Okay, hang on. Okay, this is the final upside, and I wanted to swing this around and get some pepper just here on the top. So it's great. While I let something else sear on the bottom. But what I'm about to do is I'm about to basically take the chicken bouillon powder, dilute it in the water, and put probably about 2/3 of a cup of water in the bottom of this. Cover it up, let it slow. It's already seared. Let it slow braise, I should say. Braising would be the term for it. Uh, for several hours until dinner. Like it's about 20 minutes after 2 in the PM here, and I won't be eating dinner until like 6 or 7 o'clock. So that's how long this is going to go, and it's going to be so juicy and tender. We want it to be not so much a shredded pork, but I want it to be very tender, you know. And adding these that seasoning blend there is really going to work with it. Okay, hang on. So I'd like us to take a moment to look at how this pork roast, this Boston pork butt roast, or whatever it's called. Uh, I don't know if it comes from the upper shoulder or the hip shoulder part of the pig. I don't know from what part. It could come from either, really. To be honest with you, those terms are pretty interchangeable, and they're cut in different positions, and so from where they come uh, also kind of matters. But this one's got a good bit of a fat around the edge here, but I have it laid down on its side, on its cut like a coin side. I'm going to say, I don't know if that's an official term, but that's what I'm going to call it, because that is the position in which it just perfectly fits in this roasting pot. And I could do this here on the stove, or this would transfer very easily into the oven, because this cookware transfers into an oven up to 500 degrees. I'm going to do it here on the stove top though. Sprinkle on just a little garlic to the top side, because as of yet there's no garlic in here. And then I'm going to add the seasoning blend. And then I'm going to pour in the broth that I'm going to make just by diluting the powdered chicken bouillon to give it a little something, you know. Now, if you had a good pork stock or something like that, or even a homemade chicken stock or chicken broth or something, that would be even better. So when doing something like this, say if you have a seasoning blend, and I do, I have a seasoning blend, and I was just at the very last little bit of it. Well, if you don't really have enough of this seasoning blend that's going to do much for anything else, go ahead and utilize it here. You know, in a pot, where a stock pot, where you're doing some making some anything that's broppy or stewy or something like that. What's in this particular blend is paprika, ground. Well, it starts with salt as the main ingredient. So salt, paprika, ground celery, granulated garlic, cayenne red pepper, ground black pepper, crushed oregano, and extractive of paprika. Uh, but there's not really enough on it. Like there's a little coating right here. It's not really gonna, like the first time I flip it, it's really gonna come off of there. Not that big of a deal. But if you have a little, like if you have a little something that's not gonna do much good for anything else, go ahead and use it when you're looking for when you're doing something like this. Go ahead and incorporate it. Not gonna hurt it. May help it, but it's certainly not gonna go to waste. Not really gonna change the flavor that much. We wanted to add some garlic anyway, and here we are. So I'm gonna pull up a flip lid on this garlic and put some down. Because there is actually no garlic except in that little splash of seafood blend that I just used. There's not very much garlic. Um, and then I'm going to use the seasoning blend here. I'm going to take out the seasoning blend. I'm just going to grab that with my fingers, my hands. And the reason why is because now I don't know what good this is going to do. But as far as like well, it's actually going to do a lot of good. It's very aromatic. But what I'm saying is you're not going to, when this comes apart, by the time this is cooked for a few hours, all these vegetables, onions, peppers, and celery, what's going to happen with all that is basically that's going to be disintegrated into a pulp that's going to shred and fall apart. And it's going to be literally, it'll be, yeah, there's not going to be anything there's not going to be anything to the substance of this, but the flavor will be here. Still, for those who don't like onion, this is maybe something that you are not going to care for. So maybe you want to skip this step. Maybe you get some chopped bell pepper and celery or something, whatever that you like that you can work with. But don't use this blend if you don't like onions for sure. And uh, go with another option. And this is what I'm doing in lieu of Kitchen Bouquet. I don't have Kitchen Bouquet right now. Kitchen Bouquet is a little tiny little thing. It's a little tiny little extract of all these aromatics in condensed. And also it has a little bit of caramel color added to it. So you want to add that too. If you're going to add any of that, you want to add it to the broth and put it into the pot. You don't want to put it over the beef. It will turn the color of your beef from this lovely, you don't want to put it on your pork. It would change it from this lovely pork color to a really, really dark color. It's very, color. It's very, darkening. So people use it as a browning sauce as well, but it's typically a couple of drops in your broth dilutes it, and it doesn't really affect the color. But if you were to put it directly on the meat, it really would darken it. Okay, so, but I really don't need the Kitchen Bouquet, because I have all these other vegetables here. Um, Kitchen Bouquet adds elements of cabbages and things like that, which are wonderful and flavorful. But there's going to be so much flavor here that I'm not really going to miss that. My sister had advised me to add, I'm just going to knock this off, kind of dust it into the broth, really. It's where we want it. But my sister advised me to use carrots and potato and onion, and in lieu of that, I'm using this. And we're still going to get that powerhouse onion flavor, but I'm reducing carbs. So if you're reducing carbs, this would be a good option for you instead of potatoes and carrots. And of course, you can still make those for your family or your guests or whatever. And just if you're dieting, just don't partake in the consumption. It's not something you want to think about with food. But don't consume the carrots and the potatoes if you want to. But if anything that you add at this stage is really going to break down and turn into pulp by the time this roast is finished. And that's all for now. And thank you to my sister Vicky for giving me some tips. on how she handles her roast. And no one can really cook exactly like somebody else. You can watch your favorite celebrity chef and then you can follow them to the letter, cook to the letter, and you're never going to 100% be able to recreate what they create. You're just going to have to do it yourself. It'll come out wonderful, but it'll be you. And one of the things would be regional flavorings. An onion from this part of the country or this part of the world is going to be very different than an onion that comes from somewhere in Europe, you know. And even if you ship them, there's going to be something that you lose in translation in terms of like freezing and freshness and things like that. You know, something you're never really going to totally be able to recreate something perfectly. That doesn't mean that you can't create culinary magic, even if you can't perfectly replicate somebody else's treatment, especially when it comes to like a stew or a braising or a pork or beef or anything, you know. You just have to come at it with your brand of love and do what you have, you know, offer what you have to offer. And this I will be offering this to myself. Basically, it's going to get me through the next few days as I continue on with my keto. Oh, let me tell you, I'm so happy. I got approved for, even though I'm not, you know, uh, I'm not obese. I do have type 2 diabetes, and for continuing management, uh, I did discuss with my doctor the possibility of using Ozempic, and I did get approved for the Ozempic, and I get to start. I'm going to pick those up Saturday. So, and that's the shot, you know, that you give yourself that shot. So that is fun, and I get to learn about that, and I see people getting the benefit, uh, you know, of you know, it really being good for management. And though my diabetes is, I'm very asymptomatic, and I have been for many years. Uh, it's like, well, can this help me? You know, I've kind of plateaued at my weight loss. I'm right around 165-ish, you know, which is good for me. And then I'm working out and then I'm gaining some. So I cannot tell if it's because I'm gaining weight or from the workouts or whatever. But it's definitely what it's going to do is it's going to ensure that the weight gain that does happen if I'm working out is for the benefit of working out. And then I am transitioning to a greater muscle over fat ratio in my body, because it's not so much about your numbers. It's not about your weight. When you go to the doctor and you say, oh, I weigh this or I weigh that or that, that's great. Don't get carried away with that. No, we're not supposed to weigh 300 pounds. But um, honestly, what really tells the tale of good health, because it's not about physical appearance, that you know, especially when you get to a certain age, it's not really about the physical appearance. It is about maintaining good health, how we look. Uh, it comes secondary to how we feel. And the important thing would be to, you know, not be focused on weight so much, but be focused on muscle to fat ratio in the body, you know. Um, so what percentage of body fat do I have? I want to decrease that, you know, for the sake of my health. You know, I'm in my 50s. I'm 53. Very soon I will be 54 within a few months. And so I'm not even concerned on that, because you know, I'm going on a vacation. What did I do? Because I feel good about the way I look and the way I feel. I ordered bikini swimwear, not like bikini, you know, not like thongs or anything like that, but I ordered briefs, you know. I've still got a body. I can still look like that and wear it, and especially when it comes to going to some place like Florida, where I'm going to be on the beach and everything, and people do that, and people really don't pay much attention to, and people look their best, but also physical aesthetics, it's no big deal. They are surrounded by beautiful people all the time. And so nobody looks at a beautiful body and gives it a double take, because whatever, you know. And because I still feel confident and I still feel healthy, I ordered some swimwear, you know. And I think I will save that conversation and those photos for when I am actually in Florida and I am actually on the beach. And that's going to be next month, about a month away. And so lucky for you guys, I will have had the Ozempic. So if I needed uh, some benefits from Ozempic, there'd be enough time for them to have worked. I would have been on it for about a month by then. So uh, your primary weight loss happens within your first couple of months. Like maybe you lose 5 or 6 uh, pounds or whatever. And of course, you know that a little bit of that little bit of body fat can be the visual difference that yeah. But I feel good now. I have already tried them on and it's like, oh hell yeah, I look good, you know. So whatever. Yeah, I don't look like a 22-year-old person, but I look damn good for someone who's 54, or about to be 54. Ha. So anyway, let me give this a turn. We want these aromatics on the bottom. So let me give this a good turn, and then I'm going to put the lid on and continue the braising. A little bit of granulated garlic in equal measure to this side, and then it's time to put on the lid and let this render its own broth. And I'm going to pause the video. I'm actually not going to pause the video. I'm going to end the video now because this is going to cook for several hours. I'll do a tasting later, but I'm going to pause this and then I'm going to get to doing a little bit of a cleanup in the kitchen, right? The one thing about my kitchen is that my sink is behind me. I want to be able to cook here, then be able to just put my, do all this prepping, and then I want to be able to just reach over and drop my utensils in the sink. But it's on the other side of the kitchen. I do love it, but you know, if I want to chuck my utensil in the sink because I'm going to come over here and clean them, uh, I have to have a damn good aim if I'm tossing them across there. Maybe what I need to think about is prepping a small little tub. So maybe we could think about that, a little rubber tub or something like that. With some soapy water so I could set it kind of a little bit closer and then I can actually transport that to the sink. Oh well. Necessity. Oh, that's the mother of invention, is it not? Okay, love and light. If you try something like this, let me know what you think. What are your tips? And by the way, this is very peppery on the outside. I love it. But it's gonna cook away, and it's not gonna be nearly as peppery to go taste it. And if you do, it's just gonna be on the outside. I love that essence, especially with a lot of onion. If I were to cook celery and potatoes and carrots and stuff in a roast like this, then I definitely want that black pepper to be there. But really, it's really going to just cling to the outside and in the folds and the crevices of this. So we're going to be okay. And then as the broth, as we can get over here, we can see the broth is starting to render out. It's gonna kind of dilute, give us a kind of a, it's gonna come away and merge in those broths a little bit, everything like that. I always tend to over season the outside of a roast because I know that some of it's going to come off in the cooking. And love and light. God bless.